What else, Cynthia? What else have you picked up from this little conversation? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, really honing in on the importance of that culture, that we were talking about. And sometimes that it can feel like intimidating of, like, okay, like how can we let these veterans know that we can support them and that we can be there for them, and kind of overcomplicating it almost. And at the end of the day, it's as simple as that. It's about, being able to have a family, having that camaraderie, having that support, and just having that, just being able to truly, genuinely show that in the interview process, which, I feel like we do a really good job of. But, I think that we can do a better job of making sure that when we have veterans in the pipeline, that we can do what you guys did. We can connect, the individual with a manager that currently works here that can speak to that. Because I feel like that, that that's huge, and there's not a ton of companies that would do that. So, I think it's really just meeting them where they're at, and just being super genuine with what we can offer from an environment standpoint, and of course support. And yeah, I feel like that's a little thing, but it will make a big difference. So, I'm excited to take that back to my team and make sure we do more of that.
So, Mike, one thing that I did is Frank allowed me to put the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor on my business card, and I'm always interested in everybody's, their background, whether it's prospects or clients or individuals I work with, and I can't affect every veteran's life, but just a week ago, I found out that one of my clients' son just got out of the military, is getting ready to go into college, and I gave them my business card, it has my cell phone on it, and the individual called me and we just talked about their experience, and they, like Logan, also want to get in technology, but they want to go to college first, and we do internships in the summer. So if I can continue just to reach out to the individuals who will reach back out to me, I think going from 5% to 10% will probably happen quicker if every one of us kind of band together.
And I think that something to keep in mind too is that, when we are interviewing veterans, and if we don't get to the finish line with them and they don't end up coming on board, if they have that overwhelmingly positive experience like Logan did, and if they do make a decision for whatever reason, they're most likely going to tell their friends about it. And, they're probably friends with other veterans. So I feel like, candidate experience is everything. So, and that's something that we're really big on as well. So even if it doesn't work out with one, they could tell two more people about it. So it's really important.
Well, if I can go back again to Logan. So Logan, I'm sorry, did you want to add
I was
something?
gonna I was gonna combine their 2 points into kind of like my feeling on the topic is that's exactly what they did different, and I honestly props to the sales managers and all the leadership here working with the interviewing process and the talent team to mesh it, because I had so many interviews for other companies where I still didn't know who I'd be working with, working for, what it looks like. And I see a lot of times when we do a ride day, we do a full day of work before you decide whether you want this job and whether they want you to join on board. Where you're going to come in and you're going to sit in the office and see how everything goes down. And for a lot of people my age or my generation, they'd say, "Oh, they're trying to get a free day of work out of me." We don't legally can't, but they don't do any work. They legally can't. It's just to see if you like it here. And that was huge for me because it was different from every other office. And the fact that I got a job offer that wanted me to respond within 24 hours, there was no negotiation from a giant software company. I was like, this feels like every other huge corporation. Instead, end of the month, I know Matt was trying to probably seal up his sales and everything like that. And at 5:30 p.m. while I'm at DMV, he's calling me, explaining me what's the difference between the companies, what do you need to know, going out of his way to do that. I told them I had the offer from the other company. I needed to respond to them within 24 hours. Dan LeCompte, who's the VP and the sales manager I was going to work for, who I had already basically known on a personal level, even just through the interview process, were like, "Can you get in here at 4:30?" Well, they worked with me, you know what I mean? And that felt like I was actually looked at as a person and not a number. And then, yeah, I got to sit in there and I said, this office and the way these people are interacting with each other, even though it's a hard job and it's a hard sell, the other giant software corporation has an easy job because their marketing is everywhere. They're known, they're number two, but it was different. And I love that. And so that's what made the decision. And I think that's something that Impact can definitely hone in, is that we have true culture.
Well, now I'm going to come back, bring it forward right into your real life today. By the way, there's only two people that scare me in the world. one is a chief petty officer and the other one's the first master sergeant. I don't like those people. They just so, you probably agree. So anyway, I'd like to come back to, you both have an interesting component to your career. One is 10 years post, the other one is a year or so post. So I'm going to go back and start with Logan. Logan, now that you're part of the impact experience, where do you want your career to be 5 years from now? Where do you want impact to be?
Oh gosh, yes. I just love that it's expanding. There's just I keep even though I've only been here a year, I've already seen so much change, and that's scary for a lot of people. But I know that change is good for the most part. If you don't try to change anything, nothing ever gets better. And so I'm just seeing all these amazing new things underway. I've seen the way, leadership listens to new ideas. That's huge. And even though it's been a year, I've already seen so much change, which would scare a lot of people. I'm on board for that. And also, just during the whole process, even though it's a tough job, everyone acknowledges that and they support each other. The amount of care you have to see your friends succeed here is huge, and we have a lot of fun.
All right, so we'll switch over. What about you, Matt?
Um, we need to grow as a market, and at least in California. But what I get the biggest sense of accomplishment out is when my account executives get promoted and start seeing success. Because if they're seeing success, hopefully that's a direct reflection of some of the work that we put in together as a team. But in Indianapolis, I had two reps that I married. I was an officiant. Having that type of camaraderie, and I saw them move up within the organization. So if they're moving up within the organization, that'll afford opportunity for me to move up in the company, which is my overall goal.
Good for you. And Cynthia?
Yeah, so I feel like I've had a ton of professional growth over the past 11 years. I feel like we have so many stories internally of people starting from the bottom and working their way, to top level positions. So, like I mentioned earlier, when I started with Impact, I was 21 years old, so very young. I was the receptionist at our corporate office, which did not look anything like this. It was a small, dingy office in Waukegan, Illinois, back when we were very printer heavy still. So an office full of printers, very different. And, I was so grateful to be given that opportunity. And again, it was the bottom of the totem pole, lowest you could be. But it was a gateway that ultimately changed my life. So, I've been very fortunate to, work up into different positions. And I think that the most pivotal one was when I was promoted to be one of our very first recruiters within the company. So, and that was a very fun challenge for me being, in my young mid 20s and being challenged with something like that, and being tasked with growing our sales team and, really growing from there. When we got into IT, being tasked with hiring tenured IT professionals, and same with the marketing. And it just, really spiraled from there. So going from receptionist to recruiter to director to VP, and was given partnership back in 2021, which was a humbling experience and an amazing experience. And so I'm just so grateful for that. And for me, I'm really focused on giving the same opportunity to all the people that work for me. So, then the 9 people underneath me, making sure I give them those career paths so they can have the same opportunity that I did, and offering that transparency. And, obviously having amazing leadership like Frank, Dan, and Tom. The transparency, the investment back into the company so we can all grow our careers is huge. So, I feel like for me professionally, I really want to see my team grow and keep offering them promotions to level up their career. So yeah, that's my focus right now.
So I love that. And I got a million more questions for you guys. This is a great conversation. But if you were going to, and I'll start with you, Matt, if there's a message you want to send to the industry about impact and, hey, why you should come to work for impact, what is it you would say? What would you say? Simply, here's why you should come and work for impact.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would just say that it's it allows you the opportunity to grow. And to Logan's point, these big companies, you don't necessarily feel a part of the growth of the organization. And from every role at Impact, you have, your job that you're doing that's helping continue to fuel the growth for Impact. So I think it's just being able to have a career is truly the picture that's been painted every single day with emails that Dan Meyer, our president, sends out about someone's getting promoted. That's what I would say.
Awesome. And as a youngster to Impact, what would you say?
I would say resumes are boring. They don't tell someone's story. And the thing with Impact was they look beyond that. Every person I've talked to who's been here about as long as Matt or even less, they have a story like Cynthia has. Like they have a truly acknowledgeable story, not just, yeah, I was at Microsoft for 2 years and then I swapped over to Salesforce. It's a real journey. And that's important. I think people will look back in life and say, this is my career, and it was something that was astonishing. And what I saw was that I've never worked at a company before where when I was at these big software companies, I couldn't even talk to like the director candidly, but now I could go up to Frank and say, I have this really good idea. And he would say, if you can put 15 to 30 minutes on my calendar, let's have a chat about it. That's super important. It's just the acknowledgement that things change. And I think that's what Impact's really good at.
Well, I have a couple more questions. And so I'll start with Cynthia. And this is more of a rhetorical question that actually I'm kind of curious about how you feel. There's a saying, you either fall on one side or the other. Leaders are made or leaders are born. And I know there are a lot of people who say it's both. So Cynthia, what do you say? I mean, when you look at a Frank Cucco, I fall on the side of that. You can't make that. That's born. Now, can he improve it? Yeah, of course. But I'm kind of curious. Where do you fall on that?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. I feel like it's both. I feel like to your point, Frank has, an amazing leadership style, and he's built an amazing company, and there's not a lot of people like him. And I feel like, that is absolutely something you're born with, right? And I feel like there's a lot of, resilience and grit that he had younger in his years before, creating impact that led him to, what he was ultimately able to accomplish. I think it's both. I think that for me personally, I definitely had to grow into my leadership skills. It took me, maybe that was just being young and, like growing into myself. But, I feel like my young self would probably say I would never be in a leadership role. And here I am today, and I cannot imagine doing anything other than what I'm doing today. And I love it so much. So I think it's a combination.
All right. So let's go to Logan.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the best leaders are good listeners. They listen more than they talk, and that's coming from someone who talks a lot. So that's probably why I'm the only one here not in management. But at the same time, it's to the point I just made about Frank. He'll listen to you, and I think to be empathetic like that and caring is something that comes from your upbringing and is almost born in you. You could be the most intelligent person in the world, but if you're a complete narcissist and you won't listen to the people beneath you, you really can't run the ship because you have no idea what's going to go wrong behind your back. And so I think that's what the leadership here has done amazingly, is that they listen. And I think leaders are born. You can train people to lead something, but truly great leaders, the people who do outstanding things, not just a management position or something like that, but people that can start a company like this, they have something from their upbringing that is an inside of them where they understand that people are the ones running the ship, not the people, not the ship itself, not the structure of it.
I could go on and on about that, but how many officers have you seen that you go?
Yes.
so Matt.
Yeah, I think the best leaders are servant leaders. And again, to Logan point, it's like your upbringing. At Impact, we give you all the tools and the resources to be successful, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to execute. So, that really kind of relies on leaders are made. You're going to have every opportunity to succeed here, but it's up to you to actually take advantage of everything that you have. And I feel disappointed for individuals who leave the company because they feel like the grass is greener. And I've been on the other side, and all different walks of life have been tough, but this is something that's the tough is worth. So the best leaders, and that's a book that we've been reading as a leadership group, is Twin Thieves, is our servant leaders.
I love that. I'm totally on board with that. Any successful guy, lady, or company has that as at their core, and it has to be genuine. It can't be some cliche on a board, right? It just has to be. And so I'm with you on that one. Y'all had great answers for that one. So my final question really it revolves around music. So I've tried to give as many cues as I can. I'm sure you'd probably like Drake and everybody else that I don't know anything about. But if you don't have a favorite Sinatra song, then I'm not going to like you guys too long. So who wants to go first? Cynthia, you got a favorite Sinatra song?
Oh man, Frank Sinatra. I mean, I have
Are you
favorites.
Googling right now?
I'm gonna look at my Spotify. I have a favorite Dean Martin. Does that count?
Oh God, that is hysterical. All
On
right.
an evening in Roma.
I can sing them. I don't know if it's the correct titles.
Um,
Oh, you can sing it, but no title. Okay. Well, you want to hum a few bars, or you?
Let's hear it, Logan, please.
I think it's actually the title of the song is like that's life, that's
All right,
life.
that's life.
Yeah,
That's
but
life,
that's like so that's not a deep cut. That's like any generic person could say that. That's like what a generation of mine would say.
dude. The name of this show is Next Week's Life. Where do you think I
Yeah.
stole it from?
get it now.
All right, Matt. How about you? You want to give it a shot?
Singing, no. I haven't had enough water today. Otherwise, I'd be really good. I would say My Way
I was
by
gonna
Frank
say
Sinatra.
it's a good one. I don't know
Yeah.
about my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, no offense, guys, but that's Frank.
Yeah.
You're Frank. Frank is my way. He lives it, right?
Uh-huh. Oh,
All
yeah.
right. Next time you see him, you better tell him, "Hey, I finally got the song for you." Hey, anyway, as we close out, I really appreciate your time. You're awesome, and and I mean it sincerely. I'm a huge fan. Cynthia, Frank, and Dan, and the whole company. I think what you do is remarkable. There's no question. So my little counsel for all of you is that you have definitely hooked your horse up to the absolute best. And the future is brighter than ever, particularly the way Impact is going about doing it. We see dealers all over the country, and it's safe to say, arguably, that Impact is one of the top three, and maybe the top one when it comes to culture. So, for both of you gentlemen, I'm going to embarrass you and say thank you for your service, and please know that if you need me for anything, I am on call. You just need to find me. And Cynthia, you are absolutely terrific, always. I promise you we're going to do more and more. So thank you. I appreciate it.